If anybody, I was just about to say, if anybody drops off of this, we will have this recording up tomorrow morning so you can finish seeing it or what have you. I'm going to go ahead and let you take it over.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And sorry, I mean, like we got a little kitten, a little lazy right here. She's like, she's learning about people. So she's going to be kind of going in and out. That's completely all fine, guys. So basically, one of the things we want to talk about right now, going to this class, are a couple of different things, right? So this is going to be kind of the agenda of this class. So, what are some things that we're going to cover, right? One of the things that we're going to cover is, first of all, who our company is and what we really stand for and what is the foundation that we base all of our classes off of, because we host multiple different classes across different platforms. Number two, what are the differences between wills and trusts? Because obviously you guys want to understand more about how are we going to be avoiding the topic of probate when it comes to our clientele. That's one of the things that you guys want to learn more about. That's what we're talking about here today, right? And then, of course, how are we going to use this information to protect ourselves, our families, and our clients? And then, of course, lastly, how are we going to use the information to go get some more business and go get some more clients, okay? So, first question I have for all you guys is, when I say the word estate planning, what do you guys think that means, right? I'm an estate planner. So what do you guys think that it is my job with my clients? What's my role, my responsibility with my clients to do with them? I'm gonna be asking a lot of questions, all right? So I need some engagement. This can make it a lot more fun. Right there, yep. Thank you, Heather, Amy, awesome. Making money last longer, absolutely. Planning for one day, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. Well, you know what? When people hear the word estate, they automatically think the term wealthy, right? The top 1%. And they automatically think, well, I'm not a wealthy individual. I don't own a lot of things, right? So why in the world do I need to talk to you? Why do I need an estate plan, right? I'm a nobody, right? And absolutely positively, that is a piece of the business where you have those guys in those fancy suits, big old fat watches, and they sit in their glass towers, right? And they talk to people and they say, hey guys, I don't even want to talk to you unless you have $1 million, right? There's absolutely a piece of that business. But for us in our company, we are completely the other side of the coin. So for our company, we are called the Wealth Store, right? And we are family owned and operated for the last 2, now 3 officially generations. And our headquarters is out of Surprise, Arizona. So that's right next to Phoenix, if you guys have ever, traveled out there, right? So what we really do with our kind of clientele, and we focus on the educational side of industry, right? We want to have our clients understand the basics of estate planning, right? We don't want to try to sell them a widget or anything like that. We want to teach them exactly what has to happen through the entire estate planning process so that they are protected and that they can make good decisions for themselves. Because guys, this topic is super confusing to understand sometimes. And quite honestly, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Same thing with the business of real estate, right? You guys get a lot of different clients out who think they know your job better than you because they went to YouTube University or they went to Dr. Google for an analysis about what they think is going to be happening for a question, right? So it's really important that we focus on the educational side when it comes to this kind of topic, all right? So right there, yep, Debbie, I appreciate that. Financially and protect assets, absolutely. Government doesn't get your goods when you die. I love that too. So yeah, guys, I love that. Awesome, cool. So a little bit about our company is that, when you guys are talking to people in the financial industry, right? That's the part of the sector that we're in. A lot of times, most of the time, those people are talking to you and your clients all about investing your money, right? That's what they want to do. They want to push the market, that kind of stuff, right? But for us, that's not what we want to do. What we do with our clients is we talk to you guys about something called foundational planning, all right? And it's very simple. We use the analogy, all right? If you're with your realtor, you're walking to buy a house, and it's a beautiful house. As we're in a countertop, the crown molding, your custom biking, so it's perfect for you guys. But now let's go down to the basement, right? Let's look at our foundation. There's a big old freaking crack in our foundation. Are you guys going to buy that house? Chances are you're not going to, because you have no idea what is lying underneath that crack in your foundation, how much money it's going to cost, what situation is going to come up right there, right? So it does not matter how much money you spend to gussy up your house. If your foundation is not set and is cracked, over time, it is going to crumble, all right? We do not want that for you guys. So what happens with our clientele is we want to have you guys, oh, thanks for the cash. I know, she's adorable. So when it comes to financial planning, guys, what we want to do is we want to help you guys set your foundation properly the first time. And how we do that is we set the foundation with you guys. We want to work with you and reinforce our foundation with 4 different pillars, right? 4 different pillars. We teach 4 different classes to our clients, all right? First class we teach to our clients is all about debt elimination, all right? Not debt consolidation. I said debt elimination. We want to get the debt out of your lives and your clients' lives as soon as humanly possible, all right? Because once we have all of our debt gone, now we have so many options open up for us. Financially, emotionally, we have all this stress just relieved because now we have all this debt out of our lives, right? And it can come in the form of personal debt, credit cards, student loans, cars, mortgages, right? Or business debt, right? If you have a business owner, they're taking on a lot of business debt to keep their company open, afloat, grow. And so the reason why it's so important for you guys to understand that topic of debt elimination is because it's a very powerful tool with your clients. Because think about it. If you're helping your folks buy arguably the largest financial asset that they're going to have, doesn't it also make sense that you guys are the ones to show them how to pay that debt off faster than they ever thought was possible, right? It's a very important conversation that I don't think we have with our clients, because the realtors I've been around, there's a lot of good ones out there, but really it's people always talk about, hey, I don't want to be transactional. I want to be relational. Well, okay, what do you guys do for your follow-up, right? So I want to ask you guys this next question, right? What does your follow-up with your client look like, all right? How do you stay in touch with your clients years after the transaction? What does that look like for you guys? Nobody has anything to say about their follow-up? Okay. Well, the things I've examined from the realtors and lenders out there is that, the follow-up all kind of looks to be the exact same. I mean, you guys do all of your emails, you guys do your phone calls, you guys do monthly newsletters, right? And of course, my favorite, on Thanksgiving, you guys all say, hey guys, guess what? I'm over at Costco and they have apple pies. You guys want one, right? You guys all do, for the most part, the exact same kind of follow-up, which I have nothing wrong with that. But you gotta get a step above, because guys, there are tens and tens of thousands of realtors in your areas. I bet there are, right? So what makes you different than everyone else in your city or in your state, right? That's the thing that you guys got to think about. So we use these classes and we teach you guys through these classes how to leverage yourself, right? That's just the first class. Obviously, this is the second class that we teach all about estate planning, right? And the third class we talk about, the third class is all about showing our clients how to create guaranteed income at their retirements, right? And for us personally, when we say retirement, that does not mean you're 65, 75, does not mean you're a particular age, all right? Retiring to us means very simply, how much money do you have to make every single month that allows you to now choose whether or not you want to work, all right? Does that mean you're making $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month? What much money do you guys want to make a month that allows you guys to, now you have the option to work or not, okay? And what we do with all of our clients is we give them a cash flow analysis. Very simple, okay? Where you at right now, where do you want to be, and what does your plan to get there look like? And are you on track for that right now? And how are you looking? Okay, where are the holes in your plans? Let's talk about how to plug those up and make it look a lot more efficient, okay? Very simple. Now, the last class that we teach is all about long-term care. All right, now, obviously something no one here wants to talk about, because, guys, long-term care, that's something to think about way down the line. Not right now, but the reason why we have to talk about it right now and get prepared for it is because we're all going to have to go through it. At some point in time, we're all going to need some sort of long-term care, whether it be helpfulness around the house personally, or we have to go to a facility. All right. And the reason why it's so important to talk about it now is because it is the #1 thing that strips away everybody's retirement. Okay. Now, I want to ask you guys another question. How much do you guys think long-term care across this country costs right now? What's the average cost across this country for long-term care right now? How much does that cost right now? Yep, thousands a month, 100%. 7,000 a month. Yeah. 8 to 10,000 a month, 100%. 6,000 a month. Yeah. Yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys getting engaged. It makes it a lot better when you guys are engaged. Yeah, too much, Don. Too much, 100%. You know, it costs about 110, 150 a year for long-term care. And guys, that's not even a nice facility. It's not. And remember, that's if everything plays out well for you. If you don't fall down, get into an injury, need surgery, right? Those things spiral out of control. And the sad truth of the matter is very simple, all right? We would think that with all the technology that we have today, that the age of these long-term facilities would get higher and higher every single year, right? But as a matter of fact, the exact opposite has happened. Over the last 25 years, the average age that's in these facilities has actually decreased to the mid 50s. That is the average age of people in these facilities right now. Early is the early to late 50s. All right. Something pretty scary to think about. So it's not a matter of if, it's all a matter of when. So we got to start talking about it right now. It does not matter if you're in your 60s or if you're in your 20s. You got to put a plan in place to deal for when these things pop up. Okay. And these conversations in those 4 classes that we have with our clientele is very, very important for us all to talk about right now, because we have to get prepared for that. Okay. So that's just a little bit about ourselves and our company, kind of what we're all about and the things that we like to talk to our clients about. All right. Now, obviously, let's get back on track to this class, right? All about estate planning and how we're going to be avoiding probate and use the information to help our clients and our families to protect each other. Okay. So second piece right here, I want to draw our attention to, all right? How do we do this? Is very simple. We have to learn the differences between wills and trusts. All right. Now, let's talk about wills for a minute or two. So the reason why wills are so predominant in today's society is very simple. That's what's all been ever talked about, right? My dad had a will, my grandpa had a will, my great grandpa had a will. That's all we've ever been told about is wills, 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 because that's what everyone has done. But there are a lot of things that are fundamentally wrong with wills. Okay. The first thing that's fundamentally wrong with the will, you guys can obviously write this information down. I know it's being recorded, but feel free to write it down too. The first thing wrong with the will is that it only goes into effect when we pass away. Okay. It only goes into effect when we pass away, 100%. Lisa, you got it right on the nose, right? It does not go into effect if we get into a car accident, right? If we go into a car crash or the hospital and we get a sickness, right? COVID-19 got us now, we're incapacitated. That's the term, right? We're in the hospital. You have not passed away, but you're in the hospital. What happens then? Your will cannot take into effect. So what has to happen now is that you have to go through something called guardianship and conservatorship. Okay. Very simple terminology. You guard the person, conserve their assets, their monies, right? Just to have that hearing, it costs about $6,000. All right. And that's just to get your day in court. That does not include the additional lawyer or attorney's fee that your family is going to have to go through to be able to make decisions for you. All right. It is extremely sad. All right. So that's the first thing wrong with them. Second thing wrong with the wills are 100% public knowledge. 100% public knowledge, right? If you have a will, I can go look it up. I can go look it up and I can challenge that will. Okay. It's something very wrong with that. All right. Number 3, the entire probate process. Why do we have to have it in the first place? It's very simple. Okay. That is the court's legal method of taking your name off of all of your titled assets to give to your beneficiaries. That's why probate is there in the first place. But how do we get there? How do we get there? What we have to do is the very first thing the courts have to do once you passed away is they have to make an announcement publicly via postage, newspapers, internet, whatever you guys got, right? Because if there are any creditors attached to the debts that you currently still owe, they have to be notified so that they can come make their claim and come get what they're owed, right? And that process can take between 6 to 12 months based on where you live. Okay. So when people talk to you about, oh yeah, I'm an easy case, I will go through simple probate because I have not a lot of stuff. Guys, I'm here to tell you that is not true at all whatsoever. That person right there has not gone through the probate process at all. Right. They are sadly mistaken. Okay. Now, the other thing wrong with wills is that number 1, like I mentioned, right? It only goes into effect when you die. It's public information. And number three, talk about the probate process. But something else fundamentally wrong with wills is that at any point in time, they are going to be non-valid, which means very simply that, guys, I don't care if you have a regular will, a video will, whatever you got out there. If you have your long lost brother's, uncle's, nephew's son, they can come right to the courtroom and say, hey, listen, guys, your dad, your brother, your grandpa right there, he told me I was supposed to get a big chunk of the inheritance, as a matter of fact, and I'm not leaving until I do. You can be publicly altered against by anybody who can stake a claim, right? As I mentioned, right, there's public information. You guys are all realtors, right? You guys can see property records of your owners. I see you guys run your comparables when you're selling and buying houses, right? You guys can see who owns these houses publicly, right? Same information with us. We can publicly see who owns these assets, right? It's a very scary thing to think about, all right? Right there, someone like, who said it right there to me? So repeat first of line three. Line three. I hope I got that repeated. Lisa was able to repeat that for you? She asked a question. I hope I was able to answer. We don't know?
Just keep
okay. No worries. All right, guys. So that's a couple of things that are fundamentally wrong with wills. So how do we solve all that stuff? It's very simple. One document, a trust. A trust solves all of these problems, all right? And we're going to talk about exactly why it solves all those problems and how we're going to be able to use that for our businesses, okay? So very simple. What is a trust? It's very simple, okay? Why is a trust so beneficial to us all? It's because it does not go through probate, okay? And the reason why it does not go through probate is because when we are making our trusts, we are retitling assets from our personal name to name the trust, okay? That's what we are doing for the process, and exactly why, second piece right there, it prevents the courts from controlling our assets at incapacity, is because the reason why you have to go through all that nonsense with a will is because you still have things titled in your name when you're in the hospital. But if you have things transferred into your trust on paper, you don't own anything. So there's nothing to litigate against or go through a living, that's what's called a living probate against. Okay, a trust solves that problem for you. And lastly, it gives you guys not the control over your assets that you want to leave to your heirs. All right. Now, first couple of questions that we get automatically when I ask these questions, and I say these facts. All right. So when it comes to this, why does a trust actually prevent court control at incapacity? Remember, the reason why is because we are retitling assets into the name of the trust. So on paper, we don't own anything. So there's nothing for people to litigate against us at time of incapacitation, all right? It's very important. Now, second thing, we always get people asking us when we kind of go through the entire process. Well, Stephen, if we are taking the titles of our assets from our personal name to the name of our trust, don't I lose control of those assets because it's not my personal name? Not at all. Your trust is tracked to your social security number, all right? So you guys still have full control over the entire document, all right? That's how it's set up. It is a legal document, unlike a will, which is not a legal binding document, okay? It's like right here in the very bottom part, right there from John Rockefeller. Everyone knows how powerful a man he was. And his common phrase that he used to say was, guys, I own nothing, but I control everything. And that's through the power of trusts, all right? Now, let's go over briefly the roles of people involved in your trusts. If you guys want to work with us, this is exactly how the entire process would look like and who would be involved in that process of setting one of these trusts up, okay? Now, sorry. There we go. Sorry, the cat's pressing the keys right there, so I got back up a little bit. But so roles of people in the trust, all right? The trustor, the grantor, creator, settlor, all right? That is a term just very simply for whoever the trust it is, right? Whoever's trust it is, that is the terminology that you would be called, all right? Why do we have the different ones, trustor, grantor, creator? Every single state has a different term, all right? It's very simple though. The trustor is the person who's ever trust it is, all right? Now the second person, the trustee is whoever the person that controls your trust, all right? So very simply, you would be your own trustee, okay? You're the trustor, the person whose trust it is, and you're also the trustee. the person who controls that trust, all right? And if you have a spouse, or you love your boyfriend, girlfriend, sibling, whatever it may be, you guys can be co-trustees, okay? So if something happens to you, they can interact for you automatically, all right? So that's called a co-trustee, all right? Now, the successor trustee, that's the person that most people hear the term of executor, or that's the person who executes all of the terms and the parts of the contract you guys want to have done, all right? That's a more commonly used name than the successor trustee, okay? But the successor trustee is very simply the person who carries out the wishes that the trustor or the trustee has, okay? Now, one of the things that we do for all of our clients across the country, and we're the only company that does this, all right, is we will actually do successor training. Very simple, all right? Once you guys list who you want to be your successor or to be responsible for you guys to take over for you guys, if you guys cannot figure yourselves because you've either passed away or you're in the hospital, we will sit down with them and say, listen, Donald has chosen you, his sister or his brother or his niece and nephew, to be the successor of his trust. You are in charge, Susan, of handling all his final affairs if he passes away. Do you understand what this actually means? And she's going to say automatically, well, absolutely. I love Donald. He is the best big brother ever. I love him. Of course I'm going to do this stuff for him. But she has not understood fully the responsibilities of what she has just accepted. And that puts people into a lot of trouble because
they're going to use this.
That's okay. So the reason why it's so important to talk through this successor training, what we do that is because sometimes the successor signs up for a job that they do not fully understand. As an example, we had a client out of California, out of Danville, California. It's kind of in the middle of the state. And very nice older couple in their late 80s. Husband passes away first. Wife passes away in about 18 months. And they named one of their best friends they've known for 40 years as their successor, right? They had everything done right. The trust was locked up, solid as could be, but the friend had no exposure to the entire process before she passed away. And so when she did pass away, now it was all on her to do all the documentation, and everything overwhelmed her in about 2 seconds. So what did she do? She called an attorney, right? And what did they do? They pried open the trust and got their fingers all into it now. And within 60 days, the attorney charged the family $70,000, right? Now, was there $70,000 worth of work that he did? No idea. But the easy answer is probably no, not at all, right? But because she didn't understand her role, she had to hire somebody who pried open the trust, and they had to go through the entire probate process, right? So even though the grandparents did everything right, something still went wrong because the person who they had elected did not understand what their responsibility was going to be. So that's why it's so important that we do our successor training with your people, because guys, you have no idea. You could select your best friend, your spouse, your brother, whoever it may be. And after we go through, hey guys, listen, this is exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. Does this all make sense to you? Yes. Okay. Do you want the role? No way, man. That is way too much responsibility. Guys, look, I love you, but please find somebody else. It's too much for me to handle. Guys, we see it all the time. And if you do not have that conversation with them right now, ahead of time, who knows the kind of mess that would have happened in the future if God recently happened to you guys, right? We see it all the time. So that's why it's very, very important to have that successor training piece, okay? And then, of course, lastly, the beneficiaries, those people who are set up to actually receive your assets, right? Now, when it comes down to, let's talk about things, right? What happens when you die? Very simple, all right? When you die, your successor trustee would gather all your documents, file all of your final taxes, and make sure that all the distributions are paid to your beneficiaries at appropriate times based off of your dictations that you have set forward. All right, very simple. What happens if you become incapacitated? Same thing. Successor steps on in, and they start paying your bills for you, filing your taxes until you are able to get back onto your feet. All right, very simple process. It's a very private matter. Nobody knows that you were ever incapacitated or anything like that, right? That's a very important piece of this whole process, right? The privacy is ridiculously important, all right? Now, number 3 right there, who decides if you're actually incapacitated, right? And with the will, one doctor could say, yeah, I looked him over. He probably incapacitated. All right, family, come on in here and strip away all of his assets and finances and just have a party, right? It's a very disgusting process and it makes life way too complicated with those wills, all right? But with the trust, you decide. You decide who and how many and what type of doctors have to examine you before you are labeled as incapacitated, all right? You could have as many doctors as you want. You can even name a specific physician from a town or a city or a state away from where you are right now that has to examine you before you are now labeled as incapacitated, all right? That's the power that these trusts hold, all right? Now, last point, right? Why can you be sure that your successor will actually follow your instructions? Because, guys, remember, a will is not a binding legal document, but a trust is. And because it is a binding legal document, if they are going to go against those wishes, now they are going to come into a lot of difficulties and problems with the beneficiaries, okay? Because now they've opened themselves up to a lawsuit because it's a signed legal contract that they actually initiated, okay? Isabel had a question for us. Can a successor be a beneficiary as well? Yes, they can. And remember, the reason why they can is because you're going to say, well, hold on there, Stephen. If I have 4 kids and one of the kids is the successor and the other 4 total beneficiaries, won't the one kid just give himself more piece of the pie then? No, because remember, the successor's job is very simply to carry out the wishes down to the letter that the trustor or the actual creator of the trust has, right? They cannot alter from those instructions at all whatsoever. That's a very good question. So I thank you very much for asking that question. All right, now, some couple of things to remember, all right? Once you have your trust set up, fantastic, right? Number one thing, do not leave your trust unfunded, all right? Funding your trust, that is the process of titling assets from your personal name to the name of the trust, all right? It's a very important piece that not a lot of companies actually will do with you. A lot of the company will make you the documents, but very few of them will actually fund your trust, help you and walk you through retitling your assets. If you do not do that, your trust is worth nothing, all right? I had a gentleman out of Florida, all right? He was out of Miami, Florida. This gentleman is very well off. He's executive of 4. They own about 7 different dealerships out there right now. And this is about 6 months ago. So situation pops up. He's a rental out here in Colorado where I live currently. And says, Stephen, here's a situation. I got your number from one of my friends who's a realtor out here. And he said, I should talk to you about a challenge I'm having. And I said, well, Pete, what's the situation? He says, well, I have a rental out there. My daughter lives in the rental, right? And they're about to get married. Not a problem, right? She wants to buy the house from me as a present. And I said, you know what? I love you. Of course I'll do that. So of course I'll do that, right? So house valued at $500,000. Contract that they signed with the parents, sell to the daughter for about $400,000, right? It's not a bad wedding gift, right? But you fast forward about a week and the father got an email from the daughter he was not supposed to see. The daughter sent an email to the realtor that was working with the contract, basically saying, okay, once this thing closes, we're going to flip this and we're going to sell it and make a nice little profit, right? Well, of course, dad calls the daughter and says, hey, what's this all about, right? And they got into a big old freaking fight, right? And the daughter basically said, listen, if you don't sell me this house, I'm going to sue you, right? Now, as a dad, you're pretty, that's not something you want to hear from your daughter. But the dad just said, all right, fine. Do your words, right? I'm good to go. So he calls me. I said, Pete, listen, man, I appreciate that you have a trust set up, but I just asked you on the phone, is your trust funded? And you said to me, what's that? You know, what actually means to fund your trust? So he had his friend set him up with an executive trust, cost him $10,000, right? Oh, don't worry, Stephen. I got a good deal because I'm an executive for. I got a good deal. And I'm like, all right, man, you did it, but that's your prerogative. That's completely fine, right? But his friend, who he thought was his friend, did not help him fund the trust. Everything was still out in his personal name, his cars, his boats, his house. So I said, Pete, listen, here's the situation, okay? I think that you're on the right path with getting your stuff set up, but you did not get all the way done. So because you're still open up to liability on your personal side too. So your daughter could very, very well sue you. you have a contract with her, man. You signed a contract with her to sell the house to her. So if you back out now, she could have well reason to sue you. So I apologize, but you have to sell the house to her, right? And obviously, since that time happened, they've not talked. So you see all these things happen with families that are just ridiculous across the country. So, that's why it's very important to have your trusts funded, all right? Retitling your assets. Very simple process, but not a lot of organizations. We do that with you guys. So, second thing right there too, right? Why it's important to change beneficiary designations and what are some possible exceptions, all right? Very simple. Why it's so important? Because life happens, right? People get married, die, babies born, people go off to college, people get different careers. You have different things about people that happen throughout their lives as they're growing up, right? So what we have to do is make sure that our current trusts are reflective of the life events happening nowadays, right? If you have a son and you left him $1 million as an example, and you fast forward 10 years now, he is irresponsible, you probably want to change how much he's going to get as a beneficiary, because obviously life decisions have now made him not very nice in your eyes, right? So you have to be able to make sure you're able to change those things as life happens, all right? Now, what are possible exceptions? They're very simple, okay? When we are funding our trust, we are retitling physical assets, right? Houses, cars, boats, helicopters, whatever you got, right? But I have a question for you guys now. What are some assets that you may own that do not have a physical title to them? Does anybody want to venture a guess? No? Your kids? I love it. Yeah. Yeah, guys. I love all the answers, right? So the answer that, what are things that do not have titles to the assets are things that are cash, right? Bank accounts, credit cards. Yep, Don got, bank accounts, credit cards, 401ks, IRAs, pensions, SEPs, 403bs, right? All those kind of things. Exactly. Yep, right there. Jewelry, exactly, right? Those things that do not have physical titles to those assets, right? But how do we actually solve that problem? It's very simple. Within those categories that are actual accounts, right? 401k, SEPs, IRAs, all that kinds of right there. What you have to do is very simple. You go into those accounts and you make the beneficiary of all of those non-physical titled assets. You want to make your trust the beneficiary. And then once you pass away, or if you're in the hospital, then what happens is that your successors or your trustee now has access to those accounts, okay? And what are we talking about when I say access to those accounts? Very simple. There are two documents that you have to have power of attorney, all right? Medical and financial power of attorney, all right? Two very important documents that a lot of people just kind of forget to have, okay? Now, when you're working with somebody and they say, yeah, guys, I have my power of attorney, I'm good to go. The next question you should ask them right now is, that's fantastic. What kind of POAs do you have? Okay? Because there are several different kinds that they could have had made for them. And based off the states that they live, they could potentially have to update them every 3 to 5 years. So if their power of attorneys are invalid now or expired, they are worth nothing. All right? Very bad situation that you guys can get into. You guys are just letting your POAs lapse, or you guys are not consistently updating or checking on yourselves. Okay? So very important, they're power of attorneys. You want to make sure you have both medical and financial. Okay? Yep, Lisa, 100%. Got to update those darn things. Okay? Now, obviously, the next things that people are going to ask is, well, Stephen, if I have to update these things, then you're talking pretty smartly at us. What's your solution? Well, simple, guys. What you want to have done for you is very simple. It's called a durable power of attorney. Durable means it goes on indefinitely, never needs to be updated, okay? And very simple, the durable power of attorney, it goes on indefinitely. But with that being said, you are able to change the person who has control of that POA at any point in time, as long as you're still alive, okay? Or you're not in the hospital or you're not incapacitated, okay? But that durable POA never needs to be updated, okay? Never expires, okay? That's a very important piece that you guys should understand. And if you guys do not sure about whether or not your POAs are expired or not, all you have to do is send me a text, call, email with your document in there. And in about 2 seconds, because I've seen a million of them, I can tell you very, very quickly whether or not yours is still active. All right? So no problem there. Now, next point is we're going to talk about, all right? Benefits of the trust. Okay. Now, what are some benefits of your trust? Well, first one, it saves you money. All right. Average cost for probate across the country right now is between 8 to 12% of your estate. Okay. So whatever you got, just bundle up all of your assets totals, just lop off 12%. That's the minimum it's going to cost you. Okay. Because remember, when it comes to attorneys and lawyers, do we think about them in terms of hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars? We laugh and it's a joke, but we all are laughing and saying, yeah, it's thousands of dollars, 100% it is, right? Lawyers cannot tell you the exact amount of money that's going to cost you to sell your probate. They cannot do that, all right? Because they have no idea how long it's going to take. It's very simple, all right? So if someone's telling you that they know exactly how much it's going to how much it's going to cost to take, they're absolutely full of it, guys. They just are 100% because they have no idea how long it's going to take to sell your estate. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? Second thing, takes less time. All right. Average time to settle a probate case in this country right now is 1 to 2 years. All right. And that's if everything goes smoothly for you. All right. And here's an interesting fact when it comes to the probate process. The industry right now of probate, it's about $2 to $3 billion and how much money revenue generates. But the interesting thing is that the courts do not make a nickel off of the probate process. They absolutely hate it. So if that's the case, where's all this money go? It goes right to the lawyer and the attorneys, right? That's exactly where it goes. You know, oh yeah, guys, we're going to be talking about estate taxes. Guys, no. The estate tax exemption is massive, all right? $11.2 million to be exact right now. Now, yes, they've been talking about lowering the estate tax exemption over the next couple of years there, which if you guys have questions, I'm happy talking about that. But guys, it's going to be still millions of dollars of exemptions, okay? Now, obviously, if you're in a situation where obviously you think your estate's going to be more than that $5, $10, $15 million estate tax exemption, then obviously there are other things that we can do to make sure that your kids and your beneficiaries never pay estate taxes, okay? But that's obviously another kind of conversation that we talk about later. So that's the second thing. Third thing, maximum privacy. I told you guys, right? Wills are 100% public knowledge. Trusts are not. Nobody will ever know what you have in your trust if you set it up correctly, all right? That's the power of that trust. Now, fourth thing, obviously, it minimizes the emotional stress. Guys, listen, I don't care how much you love your family, how solid it's going to go. If you are passed away, if you're in the hospital, emotions are going to fly all over the place. You know, we always say that there's only 2 instances where families ever gather together as one: weddings and funerals, right? It's a sad truth, but it's really the case, isn't it? And in both situations, emotions are hot. People are saying things that they shouldn't say. Things get out of control so fast, and decisions get made too quick sometimes. So the reasons why you want to make sure that you have your documents put in place well beforehand is because you want to have instructions laid out for exactly what you guys want to have happen at this time. Okay. Now let's keep going on real quick. Here we go. Now, if you guys have been taking some notes, you guys been listening up, I really appreciate that. Right now, here's some exercise. I only have 2 slides left, so bear with me. All right. Now, this piece right here is extremely important when you're trying to attract clients, wealthy clients, new clients, or potentially property investors. All right. Number one thing right here, it avoids multiple probates. One trust can encapsulate any and all assets that you have, no matter of their geographical location. Okay. If you own 5 properties in 5 different states, you can all put them into one trust. All right. But if you didn't have your trust put in place prior, if you have 5 properties in 5 different states, you have to go through 5 different probates because every municipality has a different process going through that probate. All right. Very timely, very costly. But remember, one trust can encapsulate all of your assets. All right. Now, next question we always get, well, Stephen, if I just happen to forget to put an asset in there, am I going to be in trouble? No, not at all. Okay. Because what we do for you guys is something called a pour over will. Very simple. All right. If you forget to put an asset, we title it in the name of the trust, no problem. Trust is right there. You pour over will, we pour over that asset into your trust, no problem, okay? Happens all the time, okay? We're doing family right now out of Texas, and they have a very antique gun collection, over 125 guns, all right? Do you think that they're going to remember all of those things in one go? There's no way. There's no way, okay? So, I mean, we have no problem with that. We see it all the time, okay? Now, second piece right here. It prevents the course control. Oh, what is my thing doing right now? There we go. We're back up. We're back up real quick. That's weird. Yep. So it prevents core control of your asset at any capacity, all right? Remember we talked about the very first part, all right? If you did not have your trust put in place, you have to go through a guardianship and a conservatorship, right? Guard the person, conserve their assets, conserve their monies. Just have that hearing alone is between $5,000 and $6,000, and is not going to include the attorney's cost. That could be thousands of dollars on top of that, okay? So that's why it's very important. A trust wipes that all out, all right? Third thing, prevents the core control of a minor's inheritance, all right? Very important piece right there. If you pass away on the hospital with the will, you have young children under the age of 18, what has to happen, right? Or what would you like to have happen? You have somebody who you trust or love take over for you. But sometimes it's not the case. You could have an ex-husband, ex-wife in there, or just the bad egg of the family come in there saying, oh yeah, I was supposed to take over for my sister, my brother, my niece, whoever it may be. So I'm in charge. I'm in charge of their monies and their kids right now, right? If you have a will, that opens you up to so many problems, all right? Same thing happens if you are passed away, you have passed away now, and your monies have been left to your children who are minors, right? Someone has to take care of them until they're 18 years old based on the court system's decisions, right? And that person potentially maybe somebody who you do not want anywhere near your kids, okay? But now they have access to your kids and all the money and assets that you left to your children, all right? Very big problem. Well, the trust, all that goes away, all right? Now, fourth thing, you control when your beneficiaries get to inherit their money, all right? Big problem when it comes to your wills. Your beneficiaries, when you pass away with the will, get everything you left them in one lump sum, all right? Now, I'm sure you guys on this phone call potentially may have kids, grandkids, and if you left them $250,000 right now, would they, be able to handle that amount of money appropriately right now, right? Answer is probably, I don't know, probably not though, right? I would not leave my kids $500,000 right now. Just, I love them to death, but I don't trust them right now, okay? Too young, that's what it is, right? So that's the problem with wills. Your beneficiaries get everything you own in one lump sum. With a trust, you guys can be as specific as you would like to in terms of your distribution instructions. You can even be as specific as saying, listen, in order for my kids to have these monies, they have to get a 3.75 GPA in high school, a 3.5 in college. They have to be in their job for 2.5 years minimum. And they have to also, make $30,000 a year or more, right? You can lay down instructions and be as specific as you want them to be, all right? That's the power that those trusts give to you guys. You can be as specific as you want to, all right? Now, the fifth point right there, right? It's much more difficult to contest. So you are able to sue somebody who has that trust, but we kind of call it like you're grabbing a cactus, right? You can sure as hell grab that thing, but you're sure as shit not going to hold on to that thing very long, are you? Right? And the reason why you're not going to hold on very long is because in order to even look at what's in that trust, you have to sue the trustor, creator, all the beneficiaries, and all the people who help you create the trust. That would involve myself, right? There's no way in hell you are getting inside of our trust. There's no way. Now, there are some situations where, yes, we do see people who have deep, deep pockets, right? Oil and gas family, Los Angeles, Hollywood money, right? Who are able to have these millions and millions of dollars of lawsuits going back and forth to where, yes, now they do open the trust and they do start having some nonsense there, right? But generally speaking, the normal public will not be suing each other if you have a trust, because it's going to cost way too much money and time, okay? Now, obviously, with all this being said, the biggest reason why we want to have the trust, not just about the protection, not just about the liability and making ourselves going to be able to have our lives a lot easier, right? But it makes everything a lot easier for our families. Okay. That's why I do this in the first place, guys. We don't want this to add any additional stress onto the family, right? Guys, if you're passed away in the hospital, you have no idea what kind of emotional toll that's going to leave onto your family. All right. So just please take this information and, do what you want with it. But I really hope that you guys found this information helpful. And, my contact information is right here. And so obviously we have a little bit of time left. I'm not trying to take up your full hour. So obviously respect your times, but what kind of questions you guys have for me right now? And, or I want to hear about what are the things that I see you too. Like, what are some things that you guys learned throughout our talk today so far?
One of the things that I've run across is to make sure that you have a bank account in that trust's name. If you don't have that, then you're not cashing a check from selling that house. So we've had that situation quite a few times.
Exactly. Yep. And here's the fun thing too. When you actually have your assets titled in the name of the trust, you guys actually do not pay capital gains. All right. You guys don't pay capital gains because you guys get what's called a stepped up basis. All right. You guys get what the property is worth today. All right. That's why you have all these families in Texas, Los Angeles, Florida, New York. They pass the property on for generation after generation after generation, right? It's because whenever the property passes, the new property value is what it's worth today. There's no capital gains right here past, okay? We're having a situation here right now in Texas, right? We're in San Antonio, Texas. Gentleman bought a property for $85,000 back in the 1970s, and last 2 years, they found oil in the property, right? Good for them, right? Property's worth $20 million right now. But the gentleman, he is in his 70s right now. He's in his 70s, and obviously he does not work right now. He's trying to figure out a little bit about, hey, how am I going to be able to support myself? I need some monthly income. What's obviously his solution? Medicare, Medicaid, right? But Medicare and Medicaid, they changed their rules. So now you have a 5-year look back on all your assets, right? So you have a 5-year look back on all your assets. So what did he do? Started his asset dump, right? Started to dump all of his assets. And so what did he do? Hey, son, congratulations. Here's the house. Boom, right? Oh, hey, government, I don't have any assets. Please give me some Medicare, right? What did he just do to his son? He did give him the house, but he also gave him a massive capital gains problem. All right. So we were able to intercept that property and put it into a family trust, which saved the family $800,000 of capital gains that someone had to pay. All right. And that's the problem that we see sometimes with these families selling houses through the estate plans or through these wills, right? Why do they sell these properties in the first place? They can't afford to pay the capital gains attached to these houses, right? So if you properly have your trust set up, then you're able to actually avoid those capital gains. It makes everything way easier. Or if you guys do truly want to sell that property, awesome. Don't pay capital gain, period, right? It's fantastic.
Why does somebody do a ladybird deed in Florida versus a trust?
So simplicity, honestly, it's a much simpler process. All things go through the trust process, because for the trust process, it does take some time for us to create documents for you guys, and those deeds just happen a lot faster.
If you have a really good question, open up your mic.
I have a good question.
So, I just had a question. I wondered if there was any kind of a trust that would protect your assets against those high medical costs of long-term care, or is long-term care insurance the only way to do that?
So that's a very good question. So a lot of people ask me about long-term care insurance, right? That's obviously our first class, right? So long-term care insurance to us, there's a lot of problems with that, and the biggest problems that we see in the industry right now is very simple, right? If you have this insurance, it's obviously going to expire at some point in time, cost too much, and there is no return of premium, right? If you guys are paying into the account to have the insurance, you guys pass away, they're going to wash their hands and say, this is, they're going to look for that loophole, right? They are going to try to get out of it and they're going to not give you guys back the money that you guys spent. So what's the solution to that? Very simple, all right? There is no long-term care insurance built in the estate plan, but when it comes to the debt elimination class, we talk about number of the first class right there. We do talk about long-term care and how do we set ourselves up, because when it comes to the debt elimination, we talk about debt elimination, taxes, how do we minimize our taxes and shelter our taxes, then preparing for long-term care. So we do talk about it personally, and it is part of our estate planning process with you guys. But you can't just say, hey, as part of my trust, I also want to have like an attachment or like an add-on to long-term care. It's going to be a separate conversation that we do have with our clients. Yeah, that's
I
a good
think
question.
Eve, well, hold on, Eve, maybe you can explain what's happening, because I got to be honest here. Stephen, I'm seeing a lot of this happen where elderly couples have been married for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. All of a sudden, something happens to one of the spouses because they're in the median income, they can't afford it. So now what's happening is that if you go into Medicare and Medicaid, you need to divorce your spouse of 80 years just so you can get the financial aid that you need. And that's what we're having a problem with somebody right now. And they came to us and asked us about this. And it's really sad because she's gonna possibly have to like divorce him on paper just so they can get the financial help. I don't know. I mean, what's the way around that?
I also heard that there's a difference between the revocable and the non-revocable. If you put it in a non-revocable, you don't have control over it, but it's protected. Is that true?
So you are correct. There are different kinds of trusts, right? So the main two different types are revocable and irrevocable, right? So irrevocable, revocable is what we call a living trust, right? You can update it as free as you want, no problems, right? Irrevocable is, hey, whatever is in this trust when I sign it, can't change it. Can never be changed unless all parties listed agree, right? What we see normally that happen is we deal with business partners, right? We see that happens with executive stuff like that. When it comes to families or couples like that, we always want to advocate for a revocable, because obviously we can update it a lot easier than the irrevocable, all right? So that's just our personal opinion about that kind of stuff. We have a lot of our clients who do irrevocable because they think, oh, hey guys, if it's irrevocable, it's safer, right? If somebody for whatever reason breaks my house and steals my trust, I'm going to be okay because it's irrevocable. And I'm like, guys, I can promise you if that happens, they're not going to get into that trust anyways, all right? They have to go through a whole lot of gymnastics and jump through a whole lot of hoops to even get access to any of your assets, even if they did break into your house or anything like that. Yeah. But also circling back to your question, Heather, you're absolutely right. It's a big problem that we see with our couples. And, we absolutely do address that with our client. We want to make sure everything is squared down to the letter. And that's why we produce those, what I mentioned, right? Those cash flow analyses for our clients. Say, hey guys, where are we at right now? And where are we going to be in 10, 20, 50 years, right? What is our retirement situation for income as a monthly base look like? What kind of things are we going to be able to apply for when we get older, right? So we have all of those preparation documents. We have a couple right now, as an example. We have a couple right now who are 65 and 62, right? They live in Georgia and they live in rural Georgia. They've been in textile factories for 30 years, all right? Backbreaking work you can imagine, right? And these folks, their kids talk to us. Kids are 4 years old, no problem. They say, Stephen, man, here's the situation. My parents are getting a little bit older, and I'm not sure how much longer they're wanting to work. Right? I say, yeah, I totally understand. So what's the plan? And like, their plan is they have no plan, right? Everyone's telling them to sell the house and come move in with them, right? And they do not want to, they want independence, right? That's what they want to do. I said, hey guys, no problem. Let's have a phone call with them. David and Ashley, the parents. I said, hey guys, let's have a conversation. What's kind of going on? Explain to me, right? Long story short, we were able to help them out and give them an additional $1,700 a month on top of their Social Security in their planning, right? Because there were just some certain things we were able to talk through with them that was the results, right? And we have a bunch of different conversations like that all across the country, all right? Because the biggest thing for us is very simple, guys. When you are wanting to retire, what age do you want to do that at, and how much money do you want to have coming in every single month? And if I were to ask you right now, Eve, if if you were able to retire at 7 years old, do you want to have $5,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $20,000 a month? What monthly number do you want to make guaranteed every single month? What is that number, and what's your plan to make it happen right now? Or do you have a plan, right? Most people don't have a plan, right? You're smiling. You're just like, yeah, guys. I mean, guys, I have a plan, but I don't know if it's like that intense.
You
And
have a
people,
plan, but it's like 4% every year is going to be higher and higher and higher. I don't even want to do that math. It's so scary, you know?
I know, and it's like these big things that guys, that's he's telling me. I mean, like you guys are all personal realtors, right? I mean, you guys deal with realtors, and you guys are dealing with hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars of houses every single freaking day. Your clients are like, guys, this is way too much information for me to handle. That's why I'm going to hire you guys. Tell me the process, right? That's what we get involved, right? Guys, this industry, it is so crazy. The misinformation out there, people get confused way too easy. People take advantage of you way too easily. So you want to cut through all the nonsense, just get down to the basics, right? Let's strip everything down and just get down to the basics, all right? Where you guys at right now? Where do you want to be? How fast do you want to get there? What does your plan look like right now? Do you have a plan? If you don't, that's not a problem, because I will hold your hand through the entire process. We've done it 100 times, and I'm gonna do it 100 more times. Okay, it's just a matter of like, when you guys want to start that process, right? And I think that's the toughest challenge, right? You guys all have clients out there that are like, oh yeah, I kind of want to, yeah, I'll probably buy it. I'll probably sell. Yeah, I don't know. And they just keep dragging their feet, and then eventually, when they want to sell or buy, okay, cool, I'm ready to go. And you're just like, guys, we're sorry, but the market's changed a lot since our last conversation. Now we have to re-strategize our plan right now. So now it's completely changed. What? It's not the same? I'm like, no, things change all the time in your business, right? Same thing for us. Things change all the time. And if you're not up to date on that stuff right there, we cannot correctly inform our clients, and they cannot make good decisions for themselves. And then when that happens, they get confused, and a confused mind says no, or they just don't do anything, right? I'm sure you guys have all heard that statement before. But I mean, for us, that's the biggest challenge that we quite honestly come up against, is just this information is just so much. I mean, it's only been 45 minutes to you guys, and I'm sure you guys' heads are spinning like, oh my gosh, this guy is crazy. His energy is crazy. He's a crazy guy. And I mean, the information that we are going to give to you guys, we have to honestly do it 2, 3, 4 times with you guys and your clientele, because there is no way that you're going to retain or remember all of it at once. There's just no way, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just we want to make sure that we are refreshing ourselves all the time. And for you guys, though, that puts you in a very powerful position, because you as the realtor are in the center point of the entire conversation, right? You guys help your clients buy and sell their largest financial assets. So going on to the other kind of point where the last thing are there, right? How to use this information to go get more deals and referrals. It's very simple, okay? You guys are saying, hey, Mrs. Buyers, it's very simple, all right? We help you guys buy your house right now. Now it's my responsibility to show you guys how to protect that asset, all right? Very easy conversation, guys. I mean, you already have the clients. You guys already have your clients in there. Do something different that nobody else has done with them, right? Teach them how to protect themselves and their families. I can guarantee you guys, word is going to spread. Word is going to spread that you guys are the only game in town that's teaching your clients how to do this stuff properly. And all of their friends, coworkers, colleagues are going to come to you, and they're going to say, hey, guys, Eve, Heather, Dawn, guys, you're talking to my friends or my family about themselves that I've never been told about in my entire life. Okay, I want to work with you guys, right? Then obviously it's our job to get involved in the conversation as part of your team. And now we're going to keep you guys at the center of the entire conversation, make sure that you guys are going to be getting more business referrals out of all these folks. All right, that's what our job is supposed to do, is to help you guys and to keep you at the center of every conversation we have with them. Because I mean, you guys work hard for your clients.
Okay, I just want to honor everyone's time. It's the top of the hour. Stephen, thank you very much. A lot of great information, a lot of golden nuggets out there. Stephen's information's on the screen right now. If you want to reach out to him, feel free to reach out to him. I'm sure he'll take very good care of your customers. And Stephen, we'll have you back another time. I'm sure there's lots of other topics you cover as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And have a great evening.
All right. Thanks, guys.